Did you know that you can chart data, make a graph, download it as an image, all in Power Automate? Well, I'm Mark Nanneman, and I'll show you how to do this. So here we are inside of Excel. Most of us are somewhat familiar with Excel. You can put your data here in a table, and then you can go to Insert, and you can insert a graph or chart. You've got column charts, line charts, scatters, etc. You also have these hierarchical charts like a tree map, which is what I've got right here. This is a tree map off of this data here, which is states, cities, and populations. Now, that's pretty standard, but with the magic of Excel scripts, we can do this automatically from Power Automate. We can do everything from passing this data over here into our Excel very quickly. And in addition to that, we can create one of these charts with the script. Not only that, we can download this image after we create it, all with the same script in a matter of seconds from Power Automate. So I'll demonstrate this real quick, and then we'll dive into the script code and the flow that makes this all possible. So right here, I've got this endpoint for a flow triggered by a request. It's a get method. And we have some parameters. I put some parameters in the URL. So I can choose the type I want to get, and by type I mean, do I want to display the image in the browser or do I want to download it as a file? I'll leave it as web to get it in the browser. And then for count, I can determine how many of my records, because I'm pulling this out of a list or out of a Dataverse table. So I can determine how many records I want to get. Let's just do 50. So I'll refresh this, and we'll get a graph chart tree map of 50 city populations. So there we go. We got our chart. It's been updated. Let's go ahead and let's go a little crazy here, and let's do 500 and see what happens. There we go. We've got our tree map of 500 cities. It's a bit crowded, but it still works. And if I do this, let's take it back down a little bit to, let's cut it down to 250. And I want to change this web to file. Hit enter. And we've downloaded a file. I'm going to click on that download. It's called graph, and then it's got the date. There we go. We've got our chart downloaded as a PNG file. So let's take a look at the script in Excel that makes this possible. I'm in Excel Online. I created an Excel file in a SharePoint site in a Documents folder. I went here to Automate and clicked on New Script, and then that's where I started building my script. And we'll just go ahead and open it right here. It's called Create Cities Pop Tree. I'll hit Edit Code, and here is the code. This is TypeScript. It's a form of JavaScript. In full disclosure, I used ChatGPT to help me write this. I'm familiar enough with Java that JavaScript that I could correct some things and move some things around as I saw fit, but it sped things up a bit to have ChatGPT just write it for me. All right, we'll just step through this quickly. I blew it up a bit, so we'll just do a quick review of this. So at the start, what I'm doing is I'm taking two inputs. I've got the chart name, what I want to call my chart, and that appears on the chart as a title. And then I got this input data array. And the array has a property for state, and that's a string, city, that's a string, and then population, and that's a number. And these braces here indicate that it's an array. Then we define the worksheet and the table name, and we get, that's the table name, city data table, that's over here. Then the script gets the table, and we basically go through the table really quickly and delete everything that's in the table already. And then we map that input array and then add that to the table. So basically, we're refreshing the table that's here in Excel with our new data input array. Then what I do is I delete any existing charts. So does sheet.getCharts and then deletes them. Then we define the range of the table, the refreshed, updated table. And next, we create a tree map chart. So we have this sheet.addChart, Excel script.chartType.treeMap. So that's the type of hierarchical tree map chart we have. And we give it this data range that we got from the table. We set the position of the chart. That's probably not too necessary. And then we give it some dimensions, make it 1280 pixels by 720 tall. Here I set the chart table, and that's from the input chart name that we passed to this from Flow, from Power Automate. And we set some parameters on the chart to show the data labels. We get the chart name and chart type to return. That's not really necessary. And then here I've got this return object that gets returned to Power Automate. And the key part here is this chart image, and it's as simple as chart.getImage. And that's going to return a base64 encoded string representing the image. Well, that's all there is to the Excel script. Now let's look over here at Power Automate Flow. I have this request trigger. It's a get method. I've got a relative path here where I put type, and then I've got this type parameter, and then it's /count/ and then this count parameter or variable, however you want to think of it. And those are used to drive how many records we get and also how we return the image of the chart. So here under list rows cities, I'm pulling my Dataverse table called cities, and the row count is just an integer function around that relative path parameter called count from the trigger. Here I select the columns and shape the array that I want to send to Excel. So it's simply state, city, population, and I pull the relevant fields out of my list rows action. And then here we do a run script. All you got to do to find that is type in run script, and you find it right here under Excel Online. So I point it to my SharePoint site, the documents library, and then the exact file that I want to use. I haven't named the file yet, so it's just book.xlsx. And then from the script dropdown, we find the script that we want to run. After that, I have the input here for the chart name, and I just typed in state and city population tree chart. And then here is where I put in my array. I'm also doing a sort on my array. I'm sorting by the state column, just so the states are all in order. Next here, I've got this compose action where I'm creating my content object, you could call it. It's got a $content property, and that's simply the image that's returned from our script. And I just find that by going here, looking under run script, and I find chart image. That's all I got to do because it comes out base64 encoded. I have to give it a content type property. So I do $content type, and we do application/PNG. Finally, we decide how we want to return this chart. And this is based on that URL parameter type. If it's equal to file, then I do the download response. If it's anything other than file, we return it as an image in the browser. And I do that by just returning it as a content type text/HTML. And I've got a simple image element here, image src equals, and then I do a data URI encoding of this file content object. That's all I got to do to make that image show up in the browser. And now here on the download file option, we have the content type of application/PNG. In addition, we have this content disposition header, and this is where we set the file name. And here we type in attachment, semicolon, file name equals, and then we have our file name here. I'm just formatting a date time string to make the files unique as they download. Right now it's just called graph, but we could update this to have it be the actual chart name. So I'll go here and select the chart name that's returned from the run script action. And for the body, we pass this file content object. We just pass that straight in as the body. And that's all there is. To use this flow, after you save it, you just go up here and copy the HTTP URL. And I just paste that URL up here. For type, I will change this to web. And I'll do a count of 150. So I just look for these, I look for those parameter placeholders in curly braces, and I replace them with the variable or with the value that I want. Yep. There you go. Let's try doing it as a file download. We'll check if the file name is updated correctly. So it looks like the chart was just called chart1 in the Excel file. So there is actually a way with TypeScript that we could change the actual name in addition to the title. We could change the title to something more meaningful than chart1. There you have it. That's a pretty easy way to chart some data, visualize it in a graph, and download it as an image using just Power Automate and Excel Online, all without a Power BI subscription. There are many use cases for this. You could put it in a scheduled email report, a dashboard in a Power App, or a portal page, or anything else you can think of. Thanks so much for watching. Check the blog posts in the description below if you'd like to copy the TypeScript code and use it for yourself, and have a great day.